car, it's the radio plate, but just to give a feel, and you get in and you go to, to turn the key on, and you bump the steering column cover, and next thing you know, you've got black on you, or it transfers to your clothing or whatnot. So on this car, we pulled everything out and we sent it off to Sticky No More. Everybody heard of Sticky No More? Yeah, I mean, Robbie is it. I was talking with Ed a little bit ago about whether we just strip and do it here in-house, but he's got it down to such a science, and his turnaround time is so quick, and the work is so good. For me, I just pull the pieces out, send them off, and get them back literally as fast as I want freight, sent out or delivered on them. He's just a few days on. So once we've passed this piece around and we've talked a little, I would suggest that you come up at some point and just look at the pieces that are typically known for being sticky on this car. We did all the window switches, the inside door handles, all the vents across the face of the dash, all of the center console pieces and switches, and again, his work is just impeccable. So that's something that we can offer as a service if you're uncomfortable taking your car apart. We usually do it while the car's in here in conjunction for other upholstery repairs. But if the upholstery's fine, but the parts go sticky, because they will at some point. Doesn't matter how you care for the car. We can do that. Or if you're a hobbyist and comfortable with it, obviously you can take the pieces apart, send them to Robbie. Thank you very much. Send them to Robbie, and Sticky No More will turn them around quick for you, so there's not a long downtime on the car. Any questions pertaining to the stickiness factor in the cars?
For example, on this car, how many
Yes,
hours involved in taking out and putting back those parts?
Half a day's labor. Nothing really big to do these. There's nothing on these that really is all that involved, so it's not a big deal. And
I was looking at all the pieces. Are there little tricks on any of those parts to take out?
there are, and I guess it's hard for me to really describe this one's this way. We do them so often, it's second nature for us, but the big thing is careful. Don't get in and pry it. Like obviously on the window switches, just a little gentle nudge and they'll pop right out. The center vents can be a little tricky because they tend to stick themselves into the leather on the dash. So you've really got to kind of protect and pad the surrounding leather as you get in and work it loose, because there are locating tabs in those center dash vents. So it's a matter of where you place your tool to get in and release them, and then it's just care.
Robbie has some stuff on his website that shows you how that stuff works.
Absolutely, very good. Thank you for pointing that out. He does have tips on there, and I would really suggest if you get into it on your own that you study his website before you take your car apart. It's very helpful. And he does, other than Ferraris, I mean, we've seen it on, Land Rovers, and we've seen it on Porsches and Audis. There's a number of different cars that have this sticky feel. So if you've got a trim part and it's gummy, sticky feeling, chances are he can do it for you.
So is this a permanent solution, or does it come back?
I have not had any comebacks on his work. I don't know exactly what he does differently than the original kind of quote-unquote rubberized, painting process that they use. But it is a really permanent, long-term fix. I've not had any difficulty with his work. Yes, sir?
What makes it become sticky?
It's got to be just the breakdown of whatever coating they use. I mean, if you really, if you dig at it with your fingernail and everything, it's like a rubberized paint. It's the best way I can think to describe it. And it doesn't matter if the car has 3 miles or 300,000 miles on it. If you protected it in the garage all its life, it doesn't matter. It seems to be an environmental breakdown more than anything else.
Do you think we should form a class action lawsuit?
I don't know how far you get. Because as stubborn as they are, Ferrari continued to use it long after these were giving people problems. So, yeah, exactly. Yes.
Now, I've heard, just as a general rule, you would know better than I, that to completely change one out by the time you're through, it's about $5,000 by the time you take care of everything.
A little under, but yeah, pushing close to that. Yeah.
And the other question I had, have you seen any shrinkage of the leather dash? I've heard
Yes.
that can be a
We'll
problem.
actually cover that. We do probably the two things that we seem to do more on Ferraris than anything else are seat bolsters and dashboards. And I've had them roll right in off of the delivery truck and have to take the dash out of a brand new car. And I obviously it's not from that much heat, but it can be anything from, yeah, I don't know what the Italians' glue regulations are, but I know what happened to us for a while. In the upholstery industry, we had a real bad run of glue for a while when they were trying to make us comply with an environmentally safe glue. And there were literally people, I had heard stories of shops that would put convertible tops on and so forth and have things actually start to come loose because the glue just didn't stick.
Well, they haven't improved much because that was happening with the Ferraris back in the 60s.
Yeah.
And Russo was famous for the leather dash shrinking. So.
And we'll get in, I mean, we'll do that. 599s would get a run of them where the glue doesn't hold the headliner up. They'll come in and the headliners are sagging, so, you know, prior to delivery, we'll come in and change them. So, I mean, no car is perfect, but dashes are right up there with seat bolsters as far as going bad. And the one thing I'll preach to everybody, you know, if the car's going to be out at an event or just out for the day, if you at all can, leave the windows cracked and use that dash protector. Use that windshield protector. That does so much good for the car. Because when they come in, especially you'll see it on, like on 430s where they have a French seam all the way along the face of the dash around the defrosters, and it'll just look like a snake after a while because it's starting to move. And you can't save it in the car. So, yes, sir.
So when you have that kind of shrinkage, are you replacing all the leather, or are you able to unshrink the leather? Are you able to?
Usually the leather's dry enough. There are times where we have taken the dash out, undone the leather at the front where it's just starting to happen, and conditioned the leather from the back side on the suede side, and then to prepare it. And if it softens back up, you can roll it back around, glue it, and then staple it. They don't staple it because the substrate for the dash is it's a composite material, and they're fearful of it cracking. But if you use just quarter-inch staples, some additional help. So yeah, if it's real minor. But the thing is you've gone through all that labor to take the dash out of the car, and it's a risk to repair it and re-stretch it because now it's got tension working against it.
Right, but if you have a 10-year-old car, are you able to match that leather?
Yeah, there's a real nice leather match-up program. So it tends to work really well. There are some special order colors that we'll have to have a custom hide made for something, but typically, it's relatively easy to match. Don't hesitate to continue conditioning the leather, but then there would come a time when there's a particular solution that we use to clean it prior to, if it's not worn real bad, as like on this car, and you walk up and come up at any time and take a look. But this one just has an area where the color has buffed off. Right. Okay? And so we'll get in and just re-dye that. And it's as permanent a solution as putting in a new piece of leather. Because if we put in a brand new piece of leather, at some point it's going to wear through again. They're just big, exaggerated bolsters that doesn't matter what size person you are, you're going to drag across it. If you're a belt wearer or whatever, it's going to happen faster. And the dyes that I use are really permanent, good, strong dyes. They don't rub off on your clothing. They're
And once it's been re-dyed, you can continue to condition it.
Yeah, you can. You actually can. Yeah, it's the old school dyes that were all lacquer based, they pretty much sealed the leather and it didn't do you any good. It'd be like trying to condition through paint. But these are they're water based dyes now. And once they're cured, they're really, really tough. I mean, you can get on them with a good solid cleaner and they're not going to break down. But it also allows the conditioner still to soak through and do its job. Yeah, so, you know, like, this one's gonna get a little color work, and it's a little more involved because it has contrasting stitching, so I have to literally treat each piece of worn leather separately. I've got a back tape so that I'm not dyeing, in this case, red stitching. So there's a whole different, you know, arts to doing this seat. And then if it's got a lot of wear, which one of these bolsters did, then we have to get in and actually change the leather. You know, and we're talking, obviously, the, I guess, best method of repair is to reupholster the seat. But not everybody wants to reupholster an entire seat for either cost reasons or just, a lot of people, it doesn't even come down to cost, it's about a preservation. We've had people come in, and not too long ago, I took apart seating on an old Carrera, a 356 Carrera. It had leather seating, and it had this really cool patina. But the seams were literally just split. So we took it all apart, conditioned all the leather, and re-sewed these so it had a real nice original patina look to it, but the seats were structurally together again. You know, and that was the whole goal. Don't color it, don't try and make it beautiful, just put it back together. Nothing fancy, it's inexpensive, it's real easy to take care of. Again, back to the detailing, you could clean it with most anything and not hurt it. And it's a lot less expensive than wool. Then the step up to wool carpeting is going to be like it's out the parking lot, but the Mercedes would have a wool velour carpet. British cars would have a Wilton wool. And those cars, they're more finicky. You know, you've got to be careful how you clean them. The nap tends to not stand back up as much if you really trump down on it and use it a lot. So they start to show more wear. It's more of a show car or a Concord type carpet, or just a high-end, doing a nice high-end car. We tend to use, like on these cars, rather than go with the nylon carpet again, if we recarpet these, we'll use either a Wilton or the Mercedes wool velour carpet. They look very, very close to the original carpet, and it just gives it a little higher end look. So, but then again, you know, there's a difference.